From brokenness to breakthrough, this is Failure into Freedom. I'm Katie Holt Lehrman, a mom, wife, entrepreneur, and survivor, here to share my story of walking away from domestic violence, finding healing through faith, and learning to live free. Each week, we'll talk about resilience, hope, and the truth that no matter your past, you are never too far gone for freedom. This is real. This is raw. This is Failure into Freedom. Let's dive in. Hey friends, welcome back to Failure into Freedom. I'm Katie, and if you've been following along, you know the last episode ended right after we bought a house, got back together, and thought maybe, just maybe, we were getting our second chance. But sometimes what feels like new beginnings is really just the start of your break point. Before we begin, I want to offer a gentle warning. This episode includes descriptions of domestic violence, emotional manipulation, and substance abuse. Please take care of your heart and your body, and if at any point you need to pause, skip ahead, or stop completely, do that. Your safety and peace matter the most. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Psalms 34:18. Even in the chaos, God never turned away. He was moving pieces I couldn't see yet. When I left you last, we had just closed on our new house. That same day, he lost his job. He started sneaking out again, and I, already exhausted and terrified of setting him off, fell silent. Submissive, he called it, but what he really meant was obedient. Even when it came to things I didn't want to do, like physical stuff, I did it. Because saying no meant being hit and doing it anyways. A month later, he found work through a friend's uncle at his 12-step program. It was like a second chance construction job. He started hanging out with a couple from there, and they were always at our house. One time, they came over, and there was like a little soft patch in our guest bathroom where the subfloor, like in the subfloor, and I told him it needed to be taken out so it didn't spread. You know, we bought the house, we need to take care of it. So this couple came over, and the men disappeared into the bathroom, and the wife is sitting on our brand new couch, and she's just fidgeting, and I'm trying to be nice, but I'm like, this lady is weird. And yeah, then all of a sudden she pulls out nail polish and starts painting her nails on our brand new couch. It was the craziest thing. And then 2 hours later, the men reappear, and instead of just a little 4x4 square cut out and replaced, they ripped all the drywall out. They ripped the cast iron tub out. They ripped the toilet out. They ripped everything out besides the mirror and the sink. And he just said, oh, we're just going to remodel it completely. With what money? What? Ugh. Nights became chaos, him sneaking out and doing stuff while I was at home rocking my 1-year-old and pretending that everything was fine. Couple nights later, I was working at the store. We were doing Facebook Lives. We always did Facebook Lives Thursday night. And it was when Facebook Lives were like up and coming. So he said that he didn't want the baby up there that late that night. So he was going to take the baby home and, you know, it would be better for the baby than to be up at work all day long. And I was like, okay, that's fair. So we do our Facebook Live. I get home about probably 9:30, 10 o'clock, and his truck is gone, and him and the baby are nowhere to be found. So I start panicking, and I start calling his phone, and he's not answering. Well, come to find out, he left his phone in his man cave, and I start going through it and find that he had been soliciting sex workers, prostitutes for sex or sexual acts in exchange for money and or drugs. I found out that he was buying drugs still. I found out a lot in his phone, and I'm just like panicking, just trying to figure out where my baby is. That's all I care. I really don't care about him. I just want to know where my baby is. And so I start calling these women that clearly he's had some type of relation with. And I didn't even care if they had sex with him or they did whatever with him, right? I didn't even care. All I asked was, is he with you? Does he have his child with him? And there's so much evil in the world. It was so sick how those women made me feel. They laughed at me. They told me, he would be home if you put out more or if you did it better. Like, it was sickening what they said. Like, I never thought there were true evil people in the world, but I got a taste of it that day or that night. So finally, about 1 o'clock in the morning, after checking through his phone and calling everyone, after checking the hospitals, after looking to see if there were any wrecks with his vehicle description in the news, after calling the police station asking or calling the county jail or the city jail asking if they arrested him. I mean, I went down the rabbit trail trying to find my son. And about 1 o'clock in the morning, he comes in and he is high out of his mind, holding our baby. And clearly something was terribly wrong. So I grabbed the baby and I went to my bedroom and I locked the door. Mind you, this baby is right at 1 year old and still being breastfed. And yeah. Yep. And when I asked him, like, hey, where were you? He told me he was over at his friend's house. And I just left it at that. And like I said, I went to the bedroom and I locked the door and I went to bed. The next morning, I woke up and got ready for work. And I took the baby with me for work. He was not going to leave my sight anymore. He was not going to be with his biological dad by himself anymore. When I confronted him that morning about what I found in his phone and where they were at that night, where he had taken the baby and everything else, things escalated. When I started realizing they were escalating, I kind of tried to de-escalate the situation and get in my car and just go somewhere. And it was not a good situation because he proceeded to chase me and follow me. And so I ended up at HEB parking lot, which was about 2 blocks away from where our house was. And he was just going after me. So I finally called the cops because he wouldn't leave me alone and let me go to work. And the cops showed up and they were like, you need to get out. This is not okay. And my ex-husband disappeared because he knew the cops were showing up. He was on probation. He had a suspended license and wasn't supposed to be driving. Like, they would have had cause to take him right then and there if he was there at HEB when they pulled up. And so he fled and went back home. And I realized that I think I didn't pack the baby's diaper bag or something like that, and I had to go back to the house. And so the cops were telling me, you don't need to go back, you need to leave, you need to stay away from him, this could get bad. You can go to Phoebe's house. It's a domestic violence shelter for y'all. We can take y'all there. And I was like, no, it's fine. I can talk him down. It's not that big of a deal. It was just misunderstanding. No big deal, right? Just try to play it down. So I go back home to get the diaper bag and he's there. And the cops actually drive up and follow me to the house to make sure that everything's comatose. And I finally send them on their way. I go in, I grab the baby's diaper bag, I put back in the car, and then my ex-husband proceeds to follow me to work. And it wasn't just a follow. He was road rage, trying to run me off the road going down, I think it was Texas Avenue from Bryan to College Station to get to my job. And he is trying to run me off the road. He's cutting me off. He's getting behind me. He's on my ass. And I have the 1-year-old baby in the car. I'm just trying to get to work to pay the bills. He wasn't going to work that day because he said he didn't feel good. Well, no shit, he didn't feel good. So anyways, at one point I turn down to try to lose him. Someone cut him off or something like that. And I turned to try to lose him and I end up in a dead end cul-de-sac. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? So I go down the end of the cul-de-sac and I turn back around. And when I turn back around to get back out, he has positioned his truck where I cannot get around him. And so I'm just sitting in the car and I just start wailing on my horn. And he gets a crowbar out of his car and he starts trying to go after me in my car. And I just keep honking my horn, hoping that someone is home and is going to come outside and see this. And praise the Lord, someone did. They ran outside and they hollered at him, I'm going to call the cops, leave her alone, back away, what are you doing? And so he, as the people pleaser, not people pleaser, but he was like the life of the party. Like everyone loved him. When he was just surface level, he was the goofiest, funniest guy in the world. And so he flipped, it was like something flipped in his head and he was like, oh, the door won't open for some reason, so I was trying to help her, da, da, da. So then when he backs away, I finally figure out how to get around him and I go back to work. So, yeah, the stranger scream saved me because there ain't no telling what he would have done. There ain't no telling. About a week later, I found out I was pregnant again. I smiled for everyone around me that I let know. There wasn't very many people I let know right away. Telling them that it was a blessing, that it was God restoring our family, but inside, I was sure my ex-husband was going to kill me. And our babies, too. Then came a prayer that changed everything. Right after I found out I was pregnant at work, one of the girls was playing worship music over the speaker. And I remember sitting in my office getting some paperwork done, ready to get us ready for one of our largest events every year. And I finally just surrendered everything to God. And I told him, God, anything in my life that doesn't align with your will for me or my children, remove it. Whatever it costs. 2 days later, he moved. September 13th will always be a significant day to me. It was a huge trunk show thing that we were having at the store. We customized in boots. That was our specialty. We called ourselves, they still are, they're still open, but the best little boot house in Texas. And we had several VIP clients that would travel near and far to come meet with us. And we'd had this legit trunk that would have all these different types of exotic leathers. And they would sit down with me and my boss, and we would make these custom boots for them. We would design it with them. And we had one of our very special VIP clients. I mean, this man spent a lot of money with us, and he wasn't cocky about it, but there was the expectation of he wanted my undivided attention when I was helping him with these boots. So I was working with him, and this man would buy 10 pairs at a time. But when you saw him in real life, he was like an average Joe Schmo. He would walk into the store with some everyday shit kicker Ariats that were maybe the cheapest Ariats you could get back then, which were maybe $190. And they would have a work sole on them, a rubber sole on them. They weren't even leather. Anyways, this guy was Joe Schmo, but he dropped hella money with us. So I gave him my undivided attention. So the phone rang, the girls answered it. I'm working with him. One of the girls walks up to me and goes, hey, Katie, there's someone on the line for you that needs to talk to you. And I said, hey, I'm with so-and-so. Please take a message. And they look at me and they're like, I think you really need to take this phone call. And I'm like, well, okay. And I was like, excuse me so much, Mr. So-and-so. I will be right back. I am so sorry. And he's really cool, but still, right? So I run to the office. I get the phone. I answer it. Say, this is Katie. And it's my ex-husband telling me that he had been arrested for falsifying a drug test because he got popped to take a random drug test, and he got arrested, and he is in Brazos County Jail. And I say, okay, thank you for letting me know. I need to go back to work. Click. I start to walk out of the office, and I'm met by my boss mom, and she has my baby on her hip, and she goes, what was that? And I said, my ex-husband's name is in jail. I know where he's at. I know that he's getting food, and I know that he's safe. Let's go make some boots and some money. And she was like, well, alrighty then. And it was so peaceful. Like, he was safe, he was contained, and he was not my problem right now. But the peace didn't last long. He called nonstop from jail, begging, raging, accusing, manipulating. He would 1 second tell me he was so sorry and I was the love of his life and the best thing that had ever happened to him. And in the same breath, he was calling me a whore and that those babies weren't his and that I was the biggest piece of shit in the world. And it was my fault that all this stuff happened to him because if I wouldn't have tricked him into moving to Bryan College Station, he wouldn't have any of these responsibilities and he wouldn't have da da da. Oh my gosh, it was so sickening. So sickening. So that night, or later on, I find out that he called his sponsor because his sponsor called me, who was actually the leader of the 12-step program at the church we were attending. And this leader's wife and me, we got close. And so I went over to their house, talked to them, filled them in with everything that was going on. And yeah, they had no clue. He lied to them completely, like he was lying to me. So anyways, I spent the night with them that night, truly felt peaceful. The next morning I got up, went to work, everything was fine. The phone calls were still flooding, but I got to hang up on him and I didn't have to listen to him. The next day I learned that his bond was just $200. He begged me to pay it. I told him no. His own mother asked me what did I want her to do. I just told her, let him sit. He needs to learn. We need the $200. I need the $200 to pay for me and the babies. Just let him sit. That night, I went home thinking no one would bail him out. But I was deeply wrong.
So I went back to our house that night because no one was going to bail him out, or so I thought. And I'll never forget, I was wrapping up a phone call with my boss mom, Miss Nancy. And I just had hung up with her and told her that I was going to change the baby and we were going to go to bed. And the next morning was my first baby appointment for the baby I was carrying. I was around 10 weeks along with that baby. And she was going to go with me. So I got off the phone with her. I went and plugged my phone in the charger in the bedroom. I came to the couch where the baby was at. And all of a sudden, my ex-husband broke through the door and I panicked and I ran to go get my phone. So I had someone on the phone with me. And by the time I came around the corner, he was holding the baby without a diaper on, and the baby was crying clearly because he was scared. And I dialed my boss mom, again, and just told her, like, hey, my ex-husband's here. She's like, what? And I was like, yeah, someone bailed him out. And so all while this is happening, I'm trying to be calm and be like conversational with him and keep him calm because he's holding the baby. But at the same time, I'm trying to alert someone else that stuff's about to go down. And he is progressively getting more and more irritated that I am on the phone with someone telling him that he's home and I'm not comfortable. And at one point, he disappears with the baby, and I'm telling Nancy, like, I can't find him. I don't know where he is in the house. And she asks me, what's your address? So I can have it in order to call the police if need be. And so I told her. And about that time, he comes into the bedroom and he corners me and he reaches for my phone, and I scream for Nancy to call the police. And in all one swoop, he grabs my phone, like backhands me with my phone. Somehow he turns my phone off. And then, mind you guys, I didn't tell you this part. He's still holding our baby with no diaper on while he's doing this. So he corners me, grabs the phone, backhands me with the phone, turns it off, throws it. He knees me in the stomach, grabs me by the throat, pins me up against the wall, and we are like nose to nose, eyes to eyes. I can see things going hazy, and I can see something like snap in his head, and he just drops me. Still, he is holding the baby. He drops me. I grasp a big breath of air. I go find my phone. He is now hitting his head against the wall, the dresser, punching himself in the head, grabbing his own throat. And I'm trying to turn my phone back on. And I'm like, what are you doing? And he's told me, you're not the one, or I'm not the one that's going away tonight. I'm not going back to jail. Mind you, he just got out like 10 minutes prior. I'm not the one going back to jail. You're the one going to jail tonight, bitch. That will forever be etched into my brain. And so I just panic calling 911. After he's done hitting himself, he disappears again. I'm on the phone with 911 telling them that my ex-husband was beating me. I'm done. Please come get me. Please just get my child. I'll go to the women's shelter. I'll go wherever. Just give me my baby back. And they tell me finally, like, you need to go outside. The cops are out there. And I'm like, I am not leaving my child. Like, you guys need to come in here. And they're like, no, you need to go outside and meet the cops. So finally, I go outside and I meet these two short Hispanic dudes. And I'm like, okay. Like, I probably weighed just as much as them. They maybe had 2 or 3 inches on me. Mind you, my ex-husband was a state championship wrestler, like his sophomore year of high school. And he went, when he was clean and sober, he actually went on a scholarship, a dual sport scholarship for football and baseball. Like, he was an athletic dude. And when I met him, he was the bar bouncer dude at a bar. Like, that was his job, was to wrestle people for a living. Anyways, so they showed up and I'm like, oh great. So I tell them what happened. They asked me, are there any weapons inside? I vividly remember saying, fuck if I know. I have no idea what's going on in my own household. And so they walk in, and it was so eerie because when they walked in, my ex-husband was sitting in his recliner, still holding the baby with no diaper, and the baby's still screaming. And he is rocking the baby and acting as if nothing happened and that if I overreacted. It was the craziest thing. After a few minutes, and like the head cop comes outside and he asks me, he's like, so he told me that you hit him. And for a second, I believed my ex-husband that I was the one going to jail, and I panicked. I was like, please, sir, just give me my baby and I'll leave. I didn't hit him. Like, clearly, I have marks all over me. He started hitting himself, saying I was going away because he just got out of jail less than 30 minutes ago. And he was like, whoa, 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 whoa. He's going to jail. You're not. I was like, oh, praise the Lord. So I was like, okay, what do we got to do to get the baby safely? Like, that's all I'm worried about. Like, I just want to grab my baby and run. That's all I want to do. And he's like, well, do you think he's going to put up a fight? And I was like, yeah, he's going to put up a fight. What you mean? They're like, so we probably need to call backup. And I'm like, yes, you need to call backup. And so they call backup. Backup shows up like not even 3 minutes later. This is big. I call him, in my mind, he's my knight in shining armor. Not because like he was attractive. I think he was more attractive because he was there to like whoop my ex-husband if my ex-husband tried some shit. But he showed up. He's like, all right, let's do this. So they give me the game plan that we are going to walk in. I'm going to walk in behind the cops. They're going to get him to hand the baby to me. They're going to take him outside, arrest him. We're going to go through paperwork, and bada bing, bada boom, it'll be done. Great. So I follow their lead. I walk in. The knight in shining armor cop tells my ex-husband, hey, man, I need you to stand up and hand the baby over to your wife. And we need to talk to you outside. And again, this baby still has no diaper on him. And I'm like, or he's like, well, why do you talk me outside? Are you going to arrest me? And the knight in shining armor guy's like, nah, man, I just need to talk to you man to man. Da, da, da. And then the short little Hispanic dude that was like the head cop was like, nah, you getting arrested, you going back to jail. And I just remember laughing because it was like the traditional good cop, bad cop playing out before my eyes in my own house. Good Lord. Anyways, so he hands me the baby. I go into the hallway to go get a diaper and put a diaper on him and to start nursing him to calm him down. Because again, he's only 13, 14 months old. And I'm still nursing him. So anyways, I get that situated. They take my ex-husband outside. They're patting him down. And while they're patting him down, like on our front door or up against that front wall of the house while we're in the living room, he is just like hollering at me, like, I love you so much, baby. I understand why you had to do this. I love you. I'll forgive you. Come give me a kiss. I don't know how long it's going to be until I get to kiss you again. I love you so much. And all of a sudden, I hear, what? Leave her the fuck alone. And in my mind, I don't know what happened. In my mind, the knight in shining armor cop like banged his head against the wall or something, or did something to get his attention to basically tell him to quit harassing me. And he got quiet. Praise the Lord, he did. So at that point, the police officer, the main cop, is like taking pictures of my neck, of my stomach where I got kicked, of my face where my phone got used as a weapon against me. We go through this domestic violence packet by the state of Texas they have to go through. He gives me the heads up that, like, okay, just so you know, in the morning, you're going to have a lot of people come to your doorstep. And, you know, we start going through things of different services that I'm going to be offered. And at that moment, I realized that I didn't tell them that I was pregnant. I was like, oh, by the way, I'm 10 weeks pregnant. And they were like, okay, well, that changes some things. So we have to go through some other things. And they asked me if I needed EMS again. And I was like, no, I don't. I'm fine. I have a doctor's appointment in the morning. We'll see what happens. He lets me know that because our baby was around during the abuse, that CPS would be showing up to our house. They also let me know that I would have a protective order put in place because of this, because he was being arrested on domestic violence injury to a family member, something like that. So I was going to have an emergency 45-day protective order. So the marshals would be showing up to give that to me once he was menstruated. And yeah, so I was going through the whirlwind of that. So I didn't really sleep. At this point, it's probably like 1 o'clock in the morning. His bond got revoked for the charges he got out on because he broke a law right after he got out. So he was sitting there on multiple things at that point. So the next morning, I got up. Oh, rewind, totally missed a part of the story. So while we're going through the paperwork, he's telling me all these people are going to show up at my house. The knight in shining armor cop shows back up at the house and asks me, like, whose truck is that outside? And I was like, oh, that's my ex-husband's truck. And they're like, where was it last night? And I was like, I don't know. He was sitting in jail last night. I don't know where it was. He goes, well, that's the truck that I got a armed robbery or aggravated assault robbery at Walmart right up the street with. And it's from a couple, a man and a woman. And I said, is it? I said their names. And he goes, yes. And I was like, yeah, those are his buddies. They go out and hang out. I said, I know their address if you need it. And they were like, oh, we know where they live. We just didn't know who the truck was associated with because the plates weren't registered, because I think they were actually Montana plates, if I'm correct. Like, it was a ridiculous thing how he got this truck. But anyways, so they couldn't figure out the plates. They couldn't figure out who it went back to. because they knew it was these people, but they were in that truck. So they're trying to figure out what they were missing. So come to find out, he had been going to a house that was a well-known meth lab, essentially. And that's where, remember when I talked about him sneaking off in the middle of the night, taking our baby, and I had no idea where he was, and he was at this couple's house? Oh, it's because he was smoking dope or making dope with these people with our baby. Woo! Love that for me. Anyhow, I don't think I'll ever forgive myself for it, but yeah. So he told me that there was the connection. So everything that I suspected was just falling out of thin air. Like, it was just all the loose ends were wrapping up and showing that clearly something was really, really wrong. So anyways, they left. The next morning, I had the marshals show up and give me paperwork for a protective order for 45 days because he was magistrated by a judge. The judge issued the protective order. They also let me know that he threatened that if he got out, that he would be coming to the house regardless because it was his house, because his parents paid for the house in cash, even though my name was on the title, but because his parents paid for it in cash, that it was his house and no one was going to keep him from the house. So he threatened to break the protective order already. So there was additional charges for that. The next thing I had was the sheriff's department show up and they wanted to search the truck. I gave them permission to search the truck. They found drugs, syringes, they found stolen goods, they found a lot of different shit in there, which added to charges to him as well as Bonnie and Clyde that he was running around with. So then I had my very first OB appointment for the baby I was carrying. I take my 1-year-old with me and I'm sitting there and the doctor's talking to me and I just lose it. And she does she's like, all right, well, let's go do our sonogram. Let's be happy, blah, blah, blah. And then I tell her while I'm losing it, like, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to carry because he assaulted me and I think I might lose this baby. And she was like, okay, well, let's just take a breath and let's go look at the sonogram. And so we go look at the sonogram and we have a heartbeat. Praise the Lord. But I had a pretty severe subchronic hemorrhage. I hadn't started bleeding yet, but it was within hours that I started bleeding. So she basically told me, like, I just want to mentally prepare you that I'm saying that everything looks okay right now besides the subchronic hemorrhage, but it could change because of how bad you're hemorrhaging internally. I was like, okay, let's play it by ear. So I go home. I'm getting somewhat ready to go in for my afternoon shift at the store, and CPS knocks on my door. They want to come in and do a home visit, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I knew you were coming. No big deal. Come on in. And I'm like, oh, the case is against my ex-husband. It's not against me. And so she sits down and she lets me know that he did indeed admit to abusing me to her. He did indeed admit to using methamphetamines. He did indeed admit to exposing our child to drugs. He admitted to all these things. And I'm over here like in shock. Like, you got him to admit to all those things? I have been trying to bang my head out, like trying to get him to just tell me the truth. And you got out of it in one conversation? One, I was just mind blown by that, but whatever. So I was shocked. And then she looks at me and she goes, now the only question I need to ask you will dictate how this is going to go. And I'm like, okay, well, shoot, clearly you are the end all be all of getting all the answers. And she goes, do you plan to stay with him after he gets out of jail? And I said, I don't know. I mean, I'm pregnant with another baby, and da, 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 he is the father of my children. Like, I just don't know. When things are good, they're good, but there's way more bad times than good. And she goes, let me just stop you right there. If you tell me that you are not going to leave him and keep your children protected away from him, I will, or the state will, come and take custody of your children because you have are failing to protect them. And let's talk about the spiritual 2x4 that went across my face, because what? I don't leave him and don't divorce him. You're going to take my kids away? She goes, yes, ma'am. I will take your son away. That's Earthside right now. And when this baby is delivered, we will come take the baby as well. And I was like, well, no, nope, he's dead to me. We are done. Done. Not going to happen. I was like, I will file for divorce right now. You want me to go to the courthouse? I'll go to the courthouse right now and sign paperwork to start a divorce. I don't even care. I don't even have money, but by God, I will figure out a way to make some money to start the divorce proceedings now. She goes, well, you can't start a divorce now because you're pregnant, but after you're done pregnant, you can divorce him. But just make sure that you're taking all the steps necessary to keep you and, more importantly, the children protected away from him. If not, if you give him access after all this, we can come after you and you will have a CPS case with us. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm good. We walked through the house. She told me some, clearly we had to clean up the house because the house was disastrous. I won't even lie. It was a pigsty. It was disgusting. Besides the room that me and the baby were sleeping in, I can't even tell you what was in that man cave room. I can tell you because we had to clean it, and that'll probably be another episode. But that was my breaking point. And at first, I'm like, yeah, rise it all up. Like, tell me what I got to do to make sure you don't take my kids. But after I shut the door and she walked, I felt like the biggest freaking failure in the road. Not in the road. I felt like the biggest failure in the world. I had failed as a mother. I had failed as a wife. I had failed as everything that I had worked towards in my life to this point. At, I think I was 22. Yeah, 22 years old. I failed. I felt like I was the biggest failure. I chose peace, though. I didn't know that I was choosing peace, but I think what I really chose was I stopped choosing chaos and I chose freedom, even though it felt like failure. Genesis 50:20. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. Isaiah 43:2. When you go through deep waters, I will be with you. Even in my wreckage and all the aftermath, almost 10 years later, he was writing my redemption story. He was preparing me for the moment of truth that would finally set me free and walk the path that I am walking today, to talk about my redemption story, to save many lives. So remember the journal that we always talk about. Here are some writing prompts for you to kind of think through after listening to my breaking point. What prayers have you whispered lately that scared you because you knew they might change everything? Have you ever mistaken peace for silence, or survival for submission? Where have you seen God move quick, fast, and in a hurry when you finally surrendered and let go? What would it look like to choose freedom every day, even in the small things? Sometimes the breaking point is actually the breakthrough. That night, the arrest, the bruises, the fear, all of it being shattered, the illusion being shattered that I could fix him. It was all the start of God fixing me. Next time, we're stepping into what's next, the unraveling that led to uncovering truth, hidden lies, and the first real glimpse of peace. Because freedom doesn't come in one night. It comes piece by piece when you start walking out of the fire and into the light. Thank you so much for staying with me today. I'm praying for you, for every single person that's listening to this podcast. You have my heart. You have my prayers, praying for peace, for comfort, for wisdom, for guidance. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is Failure into Freedom. I hope you have a wonderful day.